All right, I want to welcome Brad Mills to this faith and baseball conversation. Brad, it's good to see you. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Good to see you, Mike. Haven't seen you in person in quite a while, so this is kind of cool.
I know. Welcome to welcome to 2020, right? Where we did the well, this is the only way we've seen each other. We did that Bible study for a while over Zoom, and
Yeah,
here we are yet again on Zoom. So
yeah, I know. It's amazing. Times are changing.
what a year! But it's regardless, I'm thankful we have this technology. Thankful I do get to see you. But
Yeah,
as we get rolling today in this conversation, I just want everyone to know that you are have truly become one of my favorite people. I love you. I respect you. I admire you. Um, the way that you've encouraged me as the chaplain the last couple years in my own faith, just watching you live out your faith, your relationship with Jesus through the good and the bad has been so inspiring and encouraging to me. And so I just am thankful for our friendship. I'm thankful that God brought us together. Truly appreciate you, brother. And Rhonda,
yeah,
what an incredible woman. Getting to know her through the Bible study. My
yeah.
goodness. So just grateful for both of you guys.
Well, you met the better half, that's for sure.
I mean, I didn't want to say it, but I figured it was implied. Anyone that might know you and her would quickly come to that conclusion.
That's right.
Yeah, so you've had an incredible career in the game of baseball, which I would love to talk about. But one of the things that people may not know about you outside of baseball is that you have this really unique, what I might call hobby, where my hobby might be playing basketball or having an occasional cigar, something like that. You are into bulls and bull riding. Well, maybe not you personally bull riding, but talk about that. How did that come about?
That definitely the bull riding definitely isn't me. Let's
Yeah, we
clarify
need
that
to
right away.
disclaim that, make that clear,
Yeah,
right?
we want to get that around.
Although if
Well,
there's footage of that, I would love to get my hands on it. I can make a pretty penny, I'm sure.
I think when I was riding the steers years, 50 some years ago, we didn't have the iPhones we could just snap the videos of. So
Right, right.
no, thank goodness there's none of that. Well, in when I was young, um, I did ride steers in the junior rodeos out in California, and I wasn't very good, but I still enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of cool, and I only did it for 1 year. And the reason I did it for 1 year is because it was taking too much time away from baseball. I couldn't go out and play. I had to get home from school and then go practice baseball and then get home from practice and then go down to the arena and get my bull rope and ride steers for a couple hours to practice. Well,
Right.
that that kind of wore me out. But anyway, like I said, it only happened for 1 year, but we lived on a ranch, and that was just a lot of fun. That was, living out in the middle of nowhere in Lemon Cove, California, um, and it was kind of cool. To and my brother was the ones that wanted to get me into steer riding. But anyway, so when fast forward about 50 some years, and I'm in Houston, and my son calls me and said, "Dad, we can get some we can buy some bucking bulls and raise them and train them." And I go, "Oh no,
Weren't expecting that phone call, maybe, right?
no, not at all." And so, long story short, we did, and the worst thing happened that we started being successful right off the bat. The bulls did a great job, and so that kind of kept it going. So we did that for 3 or 4 years, and then you know what? Uh, I got fired from the Astros, and um, we just weren't there to have the eyes on the Bulls and so forth. And then about 4 years ago, Bo came back to me and said, "Hey, I want to get back into raising bulls and training them and so forth." So he bought this ranch out in Granbury, Texas, and we built a house right across the driveway from them, and so I'm trying to help him and do what I can, and it's keeping me young.
It's full circle story. It's a
Yeah,
full
no, it
circle.
is. It
I've
it
told
did.
I've told people probably one of the most terrifying things for me to be standing in the batter's box with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball coming to me. I do think getting in the back of a steer may be the thing that is a little more terrifying than that. So we've talked before. I don't know what the amount of money I would have to be paid to get on the back of one of those bad boys would be. I know I'd be gone in a second, but still, that would be unbelievably terrifying.
Well, you get up and close with them, and it is terrifying. And you go, what in the world is happening here? But you're invited, and the family's invited to come out to the ranch at any time. It's a standing, and we'll let you pull the gates on a couple of them. And
as long as you can guarantee my safety. As long as you can guarantee my safety. Okay. I'm probably out. I'm not much of a risk taker.
No, but I want that to happen just so I can enjoy it. I want to enjoy watching you try to get away.
Now in 2020 we have the videos and stuff. Yeah, you could get the video of me. There's none of you, but you could get the video of me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
no,
right.
That would be good.
That's funny. So you started to hint at it when talking about managing the Astros. We start to talk about your baseball career, and we don't have to talk about the Astros years too much if you don't want to, but you have
That's a
40+ year baseball career, correct? Been in the game that long, which is unbelievable. So I'm sure we could spend the next
professionally that long.
Say that again.
Yeah, 40 years professionally, over 40 years
professionally. Right.
Yeah, going to
so
college.
I'm sure we could spend the next 2 hours together, you just telling story after story. And when we've gotten together, you've sprinkled in some stories here and there, which are pretty incredible. I mean, from getting to manage, just in the coaching side of the game, getting to manage alongside Frank Robinson, and obviously your time with Terry Francona in Boston and now in Cleveland. And, just to mention a couple World Series in there, which, by the way, this is one of the things I love about you is your humility. You've never once showed off the World Series rings to me. You've never once really talked about the World Series to me. Usually in our conversations, you ask me all the questions, but now I'm asking you the questions here. So,
yeah.
But I just appreciate that about you. But you have an incredible career. So, I would love for you to walk us through some of that. And as you think back over that professional baseball career, what are some of those highlights, that jump out, those things that you remember that maybe you hold dear to you or close to you?
Well, you'd have to go all the way back and what, you look at God's hand or finger, I guess, on me, and on my life and on our family's life. And I mean, there's been a lot of rough things, there's no doubt, that have in the game that have been really hard. But I just feel very fortunate and very blessed, and to be able to go where I have played, where I had been able to play for the coaches that I was able to play for, and play with the people that I was able to play with. And now getting into the coaching side, just coach the individuals and try to sit alongside of these guys and try to help them get better. That's been a big issue. And the highlight, without a doubt, the highlight is the relationships and the friendships that you're able to get with these guys. And I don't, baseball is the only professional sport that I've been in, but just outstanding guys to the extent that they're forever. Those relationships and those friendships have been for a really long time. And I'm just very blessed and fortunate to be able to have that.
Yeah. I've heard you talk about that before, and I've seen you firsthand relationally with not only with other coaches, but with the players as well. And I think you're your patience with them, the way that you teach them and instruct them, not only about the game, but
Yeah.
about life. That's the thing I love and admire about you, Brad, is you just have, and I think it had in large part, and we can talk about this in a little bit too. I want to talk about it, is your faith and your relationship with Jesus. I feel like you just have a different perspective on what matters and priorities in life, and I've just seen that firsthand. And so, I mean, when you talk about that, it's like, yep, here's a guy that walks the walk, talks the talk, right?
Well, I was just very fortunate. I just everything is that I tell you now. If I given a short little story of my life, I was raised in a Christian home. My mom and dad just outstanding Christians, and that was just my life. Going to church camp in the summertime and going to Sunday school, church, and then the night service, the evening service, those types of things. Just being raised and and how raised in that environment was such a blessing for me, and to be able to live that life and be with mom and dad and my two brothers and really kind of grow in the Lord.
Yeah. And so that's where that foundation for you started, right?
Yes.
Even as a young boy,
Yes.
even in your first year riding the steer.
Yeah.
Now that'll make you cling to Jesus and
Yes.
turn to Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
You
that
became real close quickly.
when people ask, "Hey, when did you give your life to Jesus?" It
Yeah.
was on the back of a steer.
Yeah, that would do it.
There's
Yeah.
your come to Jesus moment.
Yeah. No, that's
But yeah,
exactly right.
so that relationship with Jesus started at an early age for you, and it has carried through your life
Ye-
and into baseball. And I would love to just kind of hear from you in that 40 plus years of professional baseball, and even prior to that. How have you seen God at work? And even what are some of the difficulties and the challenges of being in the game of baseball for that long and living out your faith?
You know, Mike, if I could, I would love to be able to sit here and tell you that I've done everything right,
Well,
everything has
you
been
haven't?
good.
You haven't? I was under the impression you
Yeah,
did. Oh man.
but yeah, but you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
and that everything has been hunky dory, and we've gone down the road and not have to uh, go through the trials and tribulations that we're told about and warned about and so forth. But I guess my relationship with Christ, I told you I was raised in a Christian home, and sports was a huge part of my life. Um, my dad was a good athlete in high school, and he played football in junior college, and he loved sports, and that love kind of filtered down to my two older brothers and then myself. Well, uh, to make a long story real short, was I went to a church camp. I think I was 11 or 12 years old. I mean, I love sports, and and I enjoyed my faith, a faith in Christ and in God, because that's how I was raised. We were just raised that, and I might have not made a personal commitment at that time, but uh, it was a huge part of my life. And at this church camp, there was an Olympic shot putter, and his name was Neil Steinauer. And this guy was a speaker there at this camp. And you know what? This is a guy that was an outstanding athlete. I think he was 6'8", weighed about 320 pounds. Just a mountain of a man.
Oh my God.
And he talked about his love with sports, and then he went into his love with Christ, and it was kind of like bringing together the two parts of my life that were just absolutely um, what I loved. And so it developed, for some reason, he and I developed quite a relationship, and we became pen pals.
Hmm.
And he nurtured me all the way through high school and into college. And then we kind of drifted off. I went to professional baseball and off, and probably doing some things I shouldn't have been doing in professional baseball and so forth. Um, but then a few years ago, I go, you know what? I'm going to write a letter to every mentor that I had in the faith, and tell them why, and tell them I appreciated them so much, and
Wow.
and
Hmm.
tell them that they were so important in my life and in my Christian walk. And I did that. There was about 5 or 6 guys that I was able to do that, and Neil was one of them, obviously. Well, you know what? They all got back to me, but Neil got back to me, and because he started this whole thing, um, it was really a neat relationship that we had. And so we picked right back up again and started talking and sharing. And he stopped by the house a couple times, and in his ministry that he still had. And then we slowly kind of drifted away, going, he had things and family and so forth, and he didn't travel as much because he was getting older, and everything. But um, that was kind of that was pretty cool, and that was not only
Wow.
good for me, but I think that their lives were blessed as well, and to
Yeah.
know that somebody really appreciated everything that they did, and that their work for Christ kind of had had some roots someplace.
Well, I mean, what an incredible idea to do. First of all,
Yeah,
it doesn't take that long.
yeah,
You know,
right.
to
It really
write to
doesn't.
write a thank you letter, geez,
Yeah,
nowadays, even just to send like a simple text, but there is something personal about that written
yeah,
letter, to those people that kind of paved the way for you, like you said, mentored you, discipled
yeah,
you. Because so often, in the Christian life, as we disciple people and pour into people, it's a rarity that I think we get to see the fruit of that. And
yeah,
so to have somebody come back and say, hey, here's what I'm doing and what God's doing in my life, and here's the role that you played in that. Wow, that's
yeah,
powerful. I love hearing that, Brad. I mean,
yeah.
that's just a great idea for
That
anyone
was cool.
that's listening or
Yeah.
watching it. Yeah.
Well,
So
I was blessed by it. It helped me as well.
right. Isn't it incredible how that works?
Yeah, yeah,
So
it is.
so love to hear even some of those uh your faith heading into your professional career as a player and as a coach. You alluded that there were some maybe difficult years there, and that what are some of those challenges? Even maybe from the family side. You and I have talked about your you and Rhonda and your marriage and stuff, and this last year. This last season was probably the most time that you guys have spent together, right? In your
Yeah,
marriage, which
yeah,
and you're still
no
married,
doubt.
right? After
Yeah, we are. How about
okay,
that?
good. So after all the extra time
Uh,
spent together, she's
yeah,
like, "Oh, you're okay. I'll stick with you."
yeah, well, yeah. I'll stick with you. We won't trade you in yet. So, no,
Gotcha.
it's
That's
good.
good to hear. I'm glad to hear it, Brad.
No, it is good. It is good for
Yeah. So
42
so
years.
what have been some of those difficulties for you? Some of those
Well,
challenges.
there's no doubt the the number one thing that's been the challenge is being away from family.
Hmm.
Um, things are different now than they were. You can FaceTime. You have cell phones. You know, we had none of that, and um, in the minor leagues, and shoot, I had to call her and tell her that a lot of times, I'm going to call you at this time, or you call me at this time, um, and I'll be at the pay phone on the corner,
Hmm.
and here's the number. Call call the pay phone and let's talk. And we talk for 15, 20 minutes, and say, okay, I will call you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock and we'll talk or something. You know, we had to work it out
Right.
in
Amazing.
and to be able to do those things. So that's big. Not, you know, I was around for my kids. I've got had two girls and a boy, and you know, they grow up so quick, and
Don't tell me that.
that's that's amazing.
Don't tell me that.
It's amazing, and I I love the game, but I love my family as well. And so when I was home in the winter, I tried to spend as much time with family as I could, and that was extremely important to me. And so we tried to get some of that time back. Was huge, and so forth. Um, and the second thing was probably the time that you're away. You're by yourself a lot of times, and the things that go through your mind. Um, the trying to maybe do some things some other guys are doing, or or whatever. You know, for me, I've never tried some other things or never done these things, and we had roommates and so forth, and you know, they think you're weird or something if you don't get involved, and it was uh, that was a huge challenge for me, and it was there was no doubt that that was a bridge that I needed to cross and learn how to cross, and I wish I could tell you that I crossed it uh, one one short day, but it was, you know, it kind of starts to spread out over time, but I'm really thankful that the Lord kept His finger on me, you
Mhm.
know, and just didn't turn me out. That's probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. Wow. And you know, I've talked with in these faith and baseball conversations, I've talked with some other guys that kind of what you were talking about, that loneliness, just being
Hmm.
away from family or being isolated. A lot of guys have talked about the importance of community and relationships and the role that that's played not only in their life but in their relationship with Jesus. And I know for you, you even alluded at it earlier, the relationships that God's brought to you and Rhonda over the years, kind of those lifelong relationships that have
Yeah.
helped you through a whole bunch of things there. So yeah, well, I appreciate you sharing that. Um, and yeah, we've talked, and 2020 has been a unique year and a difficult year for people on a number of different levels. Not only, COVID and the pandemic that comes with that, loss of jobs, things that are going on, but it's been an especially difficult year for you and your family, with the passing of your grandson. You and I, when that happened, we would text and several phone calls kind of walking through some of that. Can you just can you for a little bit talk about that and kind of walk us through um, just what that's been like, the grief, the mourning, but at the same time, what you've seen God do and how He's been at work. Because Brad, as we've talked about that, even when we had the phone call when you called up shortly after um, his passing, there was grief and there was pain, but there was been an incredible sense of hope.
Hmm.
And that hope only comes from Jesus. So, would you mind talking about that a little bit? Because I think there's so much that you have to offer people that might be watching or listening to this, because of how you and Rhonda have navigated that.
Yeah, and you know, when you asked me to do this, Mike, um, you know, you told me that you were going to ask me that about what we were going through and the passing of our grandson. And I just want to say thanks for telling me that you're going to ask me, because it really helped me kind of put everything together. Um, the last 7 months, there's been a lot of tears. Um, there's no doubt. Um, and you know, Mike, one of the things that that uh, we've had to walk through so much as a family. You know, living across the driveway from my son, his wife, and their family, and then and losing um, a grandson that was right next door uh, was something that was hard. I don't know any other way to say it. It's something that I don't wish on anybody, the lessons to go through. The one word this morning when I was talking about or thinking about how to talk about this was the word search came up and really kept entering my mind of searching not just for answers, but searching the Lord, searching uh, things that need to be adjusted, maybe in my life and others' lives, searching for ideas of how to look at things differently, how to put God first. Um, uh, that was the biggest thing that stands out. Um, you know, it was a there's no doubt it was a difficult situation for my daughter-in-law's family, us, my son's family, and God has blessed them so much, especially in the last I'm going to say month, to 6 weeks on their approach and them being able to search for just have the Lord um, being in control and know that He is in control and He whatever happens He He knew and He's got it under control. Those types of thoughts are huge, but yeah, it you know. If I talk much longer, I'm probably going to start crying a little bit. But at the same time, um, it's just been a time that we've done a lot of soul searching, a lot of understanding. I know when my grandsons come over and they say, "Papa, you want to go play catch?" You know, that's a lot more important than that ball game that happens to be on the TV or something of that nature. You know, and I have enjoyed that more and more, getting a chance. I think that just last week you were texting me and asked me what I'm doing, and I took a picture of the game and I said, "Hey, I get to watch a T-ball game. You kidding me? This is the best thing in the world." And 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 it was very intriguing, but because there's probably a time in my life where it was important to me. That T-ball game was important to me. But you know what? There was other things that I wanted to do or something or whatever. So just putting things in a priority have been just huge.
Yeah, I love that. Well, first of all, thanks for even just sharing what you shared.
Hmm.
I appreciate that. And I think that gives people maybe watching or listening just a lot of perspective and even hope for whatever they may be going through, that there is hope
Yeah.
in Jesus, you know, and I love that word search, searching for God in the middle of it, because his word tells us, especially when we're mourning, we're in grief and just going through difficult season or time in life, his word tells us that he's close or he's near to the brokenhearted, right? And I think that word search just kind of embodies that idea of searching for God in that. And yeah, the hope that you've displayed in Jesus throughout that, and your faithfulness and obedience to Him, you know, it's like you said, it's been tough. There's been a lot of tears over this time,
Yeah.
but you've held on to that hope, and it's so good to hear you share stuff of how God's working and how God's moving in that, and particularly like the last month. And I think I shared this with you before, but um, one of the one of the coaches on the Indian staff, when he went to the funeral, when he came back, I was talking with him at spring training, just asking him how it was, how you guys seem to be doing. And one of the first things that he said is, "Oh my gosh, Mike, there was so much made of Jesus. It would have been impossible to be there and to hear your son and to hear the stories and hear what was going on and to not see Jesus lifted high, even in the middle of such pain and such grief." And I feel like that just embodies who you are. And so when I say up front in this conversation that you inspire me and you encourage me in my faith, these are the reasons why, Brad. And just so grateful for you. Truly grateful for you.
Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. And thanks for all your timing. I know professional ball players, especially at the major league level, sometimes we're kind of tough to be around. And but you've done that.
No, you guys are easy.
Genuinely.
You guys are fine.
Pretty awesome.
You have plenty of flexibility in your schedule, plenty of avail. Yeah, it's completely fine. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I missed our breakfasts this year. You know what?
I know.
I missed that.
Well, you should come up. Cleveland's beautiful around December, January, and February. If you want to come up, I'll be happy to take you out for breakfast. So,
a snowball, is that it?
Yeah, snowball breakfast, snow cone. Yeah. So, just as we wrap up this conversation here, is there anything that you may want to share with people that would be watching this? Maybe there's been a scripture. If you shared the word search, that might be it, or any sort of encouragement that you may want to give people that, like we talked about in 2020, it's a difficult year. People need some hope. People need some encouragement.
Yeah. The Lord says, "Search and know me," and I think that's just so important. But you mentioned hope, and there's so many times that we are dealt with and we think, we've sinned so much. I was talking to a guy just last week, accepted Christ, and he goes, "I just hope I haven't gone too far." And I said, that's the wonderful thing about our Lord is he sent his son and took our sins, and it's a gift. It's a gift that we just need to accept. And once we do and build on that, it's something that gives us hope and it realizes that God is in control. That's really cool. And I think that's the biggest thing, that you're able to see people and talk about the Lord is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great, Brad. Well, hey, I appreciate you just sharing some of your stories, sharing things that God's doing in your life and your family's life today. So I appreciate you, brother. Thanks, Brad.
Yeah. All right. You too, Mike. That was awesome. All right.
Take care. Bye-bye now.
Okay.
Tell Rhonda hi. Please do.
Okay. Do the same to Becca. Okay.
All right. Bye.